To the morning breakdown with Sergeant Harris. Right now it is 7:10. Your exchange rate is 101 yen to the US dollar and the temperature is currently 67 degrees. This hour it is Captain's Call and I have some wonderful guests here in the studio. But first we're definitely going to kick it off with the safety office. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Good morning, Misawa. This is once again Chief Petty Officer Martinez from NAF Safety Office.
Awesome. And well, we're talking all things kind of just getting ready for the winter season. So I mean that definitely can start with your tires.
Absolutely.
So what do we have for that?
Well, so I'm here to remind all the personnel that to start getting your vehicle ready for this upcoming winter. Pretty much we're done with the fall and winter's around the corner. Don't wait until the last minute. I mean, we only have one. There's only one tire shop on base, and they can only accommodate so many cars per day.
Yeah.
And I'm here to talk about besides the tires, that's the most obvious thing. I used to just follow your maker's recommendations, what type of tires and they're recommended for a particular vehicle. But the point about the winter tires is that they're very specific for winter. They have better grip. They have better penetration on the snow, and they have a greater stopping capability than all-season tires.
Awesome. Yeah. And I mean they could be a major difference if you're out there and it's like snow on the ground. I mean they really could make all the difference when you coming around a corner or just accelerating in general.
Absolutely. With this curvy roads that we have around Misawa, all the hills, yes, absolutely. Please, I do recommend you to start changing your tires to for winter.
Definitely. And of course there is the mandatory, you must have snow tires or all season tires on your vehicle by November 15th or by first snow, whichever one comes first. So yeah, with that being said, since we're talking about snow, definitely we have you're here to talk about the snow removal kit also that's available to you.
Yes. Besides the tires, I would like to summarize the following two bullets into one. One is more specific for your vehicle, and the other one is more specific for you. Let me start with the first one, snow removal kit. If you don't have a foldable shovel, get one. Besides that, let me see what else. Get some extra. Get some extra liquid for your windshields. They help. They help. The ice not stick to your windshield, so you don't have to struggle every day to try to remove the ice from the windshield. Also, for the winter supply, it's highly recommended for you to have a flashlight, rufflers, a first aid kit, not perishable items such as energy snacks, jerky beef, and at least a gallon of water.
Definitely. Just in case, I mean, you never know. I mean, if you slip or you slide and you could be stuck in your car for a little bit. So while you're waiting for the assistance for emergency services to come, it's always a good thing to make sure you can still stay warm and you can still I don't know,
survive until you get rescued, and hopefully that's rescue will be soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, don't take any chances. I mean, for the most part, there are no. Just don't get in any particular chance where you're just gonna be stuck overnight.
Yeah, definitely.
It won't be a pleasant night. I can guarantee that.
Not at all. Awesome. And then also when it's a new season, I mean, windshield wipers, they're definitely another big thing to keep in mind, because got to get all that when it is snowing and it's coming down, got to make sure your windshield wipers are up. So what do you have for that?
Yes, and not only that, also if you know it's gonna snow, it is highly recommended for you to pull the blades away from the windshield, so that way they're not gonna stick to it, and they also prevent the blades from cracking. So your blades, your windshield wipers will last longer. All right. Last but not least, the battery. The battery is also like the heartbeat of the car sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Check for the battery terminals, whether they're loose, if they are corroded. This is a simple solution that you can even use do yourself. Uh, Brush off the excess corrosion. Make sure the terminals are tight, and that's gonna prevent the battery from draining too fast on you.
Awesome. Cool. And I think that's the last thing on our list here for, making sure your winter ready.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming in. And I definitely appreciate hearing all these tips and tricks. Is there anything else you got?
No, thank you for having me. Miss Awa, have a fantastic day.
Awesome. Now I got some music for you. I got some CeeLo Green, so keep it locked to the Eagle 1575. Of things, but right now we have Petty Officer First Class Richard Effa.
Correct.
Awesome. And he's here talking about some very vital information, and definitely some current events going on with the Navy. So let's get started with the rating change.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good morning. It's always a pleasure to be on the radio show. As I was saying earlier, I listen to you every morning, so I appreciate what you guys do here.
Thank you.
All right. So there's obviously a lot of talk or a lot of calls that I get is about, hey, what's going on with this rating change? When is the next move and all that kind of stuff. But I just want to go over some 5 things that the Navy has put out for everybody to understand. Right. The first thing is this decision came about a year ago when the Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy and the leadership mess decided that they want to make some change to how the Navy rates go, and also how to make it more popular. Because at the end of the day, when if you've been through a business class or marketing class, at some point a company goes through a change. Excuse me, just to kind of appeal to the new to recruit new talent, right?
Yeah.
To kind of sell it, to be able to sell your company so the new talent can understand. And what this is, to me, in the business part, is how I'm looking at it, that how it can appeal to the modern day generation for them to understand what the Navy does and how the rates name goes. So that's my point on the business part. But on the Navy side, so this was a really a long focus group, and they came up with this idea. So that's number 1. Number 2 is how we calling each other right now. E1 to E3, everybody's called a seaman, right? I think everybody should know that by now. E4 through E6 will be called Petty Officer 3rd, 2nd, or 1st class as appropriate, and E7 through E9 they are called Master Chief, Senior Chief, Chief, Senior Chief, and Master Chief. The third thing is the Navy is looking to accurately identify all sailor skills and training through the Navy Occupational Specialty. So everybody has an NOS code, the Navy Occupational Specialty. And that's, we've always had this, but it was not something that we always applied. But it was internally, it was used for part of our management. But now, everybody's using that. And that is basically what we're going to do. Number 4 is it's going to take a period of time, maybe about a 5-year period, to really go through this whole process. So this initial stage is the first part. There's many more to come, and maybe as time goes on, we will be able to understand even more, right? And then finally, the change is one of the steps that's going to take us to a larger modernization of personnel systems. Earlier this year, the Navy went to what we call billet-based distribution. All right, basically where we detail people according to what the billet available at the command is. Right, that in conjunction with what the Navy is going with, something called the Sailor 2025 initiative. So this is the Navy is transforming to what we call a ready relevant learning, where we will be transitioning from a more brick and mortar kind of classroom to training available online, right? Because technology, right? So the Navy is going to be transforming over the next few years to that, to where with this rating change, rating modernization, we will be hopefully be able to train people,
Online.
Yeah. Rather than sending them, to school, to some other location. There's still going to be some schools that will require that regardless. But it will allow some occupational specialties to be trained online, or with mobile training teams that will be coming around to train people on station and get them ready to fill the particular billet. So the long term might be good. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
There's still, there's still a long ways to go. But
definitely.
I just wanted to put these 5 things out to kind of, explain things to people that have maybe not read the whole timeline or the whole basics of it. So that's pretty much it with the Navy modernization. But I show everyone that hey, I'm pretty sure the Navy and the leadership have a good plan, and we go through it, and we shall overcome together.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, definitely. Thank you so much for passing out this information, because I'm sure there's someone out there that didn't exactly know as much as what you just given us. So thank you so much for coming out to be on the show, and thank you so much for listening to me every morning.
Absolutely. And if I can add one more thing,
of course.
There's also a modernization to retirement system that's going to be taking effect January 1st, 2018. I'm sure that is across the board.
Yes.
All DOD, all military personnel. So I also encourage folks to go ahead and start looking into that. But one of the basic trainings that everybody in the Navy has to do, there's a training on JKO now. I think the NKO link is still having issues. But on JKO, everybody can log on and complete this training. It's mandatory for everyone to do it. But the big thing is that anyone with less than 12 years in, next year there will be an open season for them to be able to opt into the new retirement system or keep the current retirement system.
Yeah.
So that's those with less than 12 years in. I have more than that, so I can do it. So it might work for somebody else, but I just wanted to throw that out there so people are aware that if they do enough research and they think it will be the best fit for them retirement wise, absolutely go for it.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely going to take some research, because I know I looked into it, because I'm actually at 4 years right now, so I've done some looking into the new retirement system, and whether or not it'll fit what my goals are. So yeah, if for those of you when you're approaching that decision, definitely do all the research you can.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming by. And so with that being said, we're going to get into some more music right here real quick, and then we'll come back with more information for you during this Captain's Call hour. Keep it locked to the Eagle 1575.
Cheer. Rihanna. Good girl going bad. Take 3. Action. No clouds in my stones. Let it rain. I hydroplane in the thing coming down like a Dow Jones. When the clouds come, we gone. We Rockefellers. We fly higher than weather, and G5s are better. You know me. In anticipation for precipitation, stack chips with a rainy day.
Now it is 7:31. Your exchange rate is 101 yen to the US dollar, and the temperature is currently 68 degrees this hour. We have Captain's Call, which means we have so many of our Navy friends here talking all things Navy, and some things that do carry over. But in this particular topic, we are talking about the Navy College Office. So I have John here with me. How's it going, John?
It's going pretty good.
Awesome. And what kind of things do we have on your list to talk about?
Yeah, I've got a little punch list here I thought I'd go through real quickly to help folks out. Everybody knows we got a new fiscal year going on, and at the beginning of every fiscal year, the Navy has absolutely no money at all. And everyone's waiting on their tuition assistance requests that they turned in last month for classes that are starting last week, this week, whatever. Just want to let everyone know you will get your TA requests as soon as they give me authorization to spend money. I've got them. I've reviewed them. If I have it, you're going to get it. I'll promise you that right now. But we go through this every year, and I've been getting a lot of phone calls and people coming by the office saying, "Hey, John, when am I going to get my TA request?" I wish I could tell you. As soon as headquarters tells me that I can authorize money, I'm going to be punching them out. I've got like 500 TA requests on reserve right now that I'll be processing. the big things going on right now, there's the Navy College program is going through a massive change that folks may have heard about. It's been going on for over a year and a half now, totally revolutionizing the way the Navy does education. Stateside, 16 of our 20 Navy College offices closed effective 30 September, which leaves only the offices in Norfolk, San Diego, Jacksonville, and Kitsap, Washington open. And those will close September of next year.
Oh.
The Navy's moving in CONUS to a more virtual education center model. Things will be done online, things will be done on the phone. Totally new way of doing business. But that does not affect the OCONUS offices.
Okay.
The offices here in Japan, Misawa, Yokosuka, Sasebo, Atsugi, Guam, and Pearl Harbor, they're all staying open. Nothing changes here.
Okay.
So sailors need to know if they have questions about education or getting started on school, they need to come see me over in Building 980 so we can get them started.
Definitely.
My phone number is 226-2458. So if you need to talk with me, give me a call, and we'll get you set up, started. Another major change to the tuition assistance program is a new requirement that tuition assistance be requested no less than 14 days prior to the start of a class.
Yeah.
Previously, as long as I had the request the day before the class started, it was fine. Now the tuition assistance request must be command approved no less than 14 days prior to the start of the class. That's to allow for more time for processing. I can still correct things, make changes or whatever, but it must be command approved 2 weeks before the start of the class. And there's a new training requirement coming online for folks. First-time TA users must complete a Joint Knowledge Online course in higher education. That starts in January. Folks can go ahead and start doing that right now if they want. It's on the JKO website.
Does it? Is it an annual training?
No,
or
it's a one-time thing. But there are requirements that folks be counseled on tuition assistance every 2 years.
Okay.
And they must be counseled by a Navy College or Virtual Education Center counselor at least once per degree cycle, meaning when you're working on your associate's degree, we counsel you. Work on your bachelor's, we counsel you again, master's degree. Those are in play to make sure that folks understand what they're doing, the process, how the process works, because there are changes. And we want to make sure that people are getting the support and the services they need. So
awesome.
And finally, I want to throw a thing out about testing. Something new going on. I am now doing AFCT testing for folks who are looking to retake ASVAB for classification. I've got the ability to do that. So if a sailor is looking to change rate when they re-enlist, or they need to take the AFCT to classify to be eligible for an A school or C school, I can do that now. So
cool. That's
we
good
have
to know.
that ability here in Misawa. It's a computer-based test, so it's fairly quick. They sit down at the computer, take the AFCT, and it gets scored, and all the paperwork is done by Bupers automatically, supposedly. And we'll see how that works out. And theory to practice doesn't always come out so well.
But it's nice to know that process is definitely getting started here.
It is getting started.
Yeah.
I will be doing SATs and ACTs for sailors as well. So if someone has a short-fused need to do a ACT to get their Seaman to Admiral program package in or whatever, I'll be able to do those right in-house. So
awesome. Cool. And that's what we have for John here?
That's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And you have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, and coming up here right now, I have Thomas Carpenter from the installation, who is the installation energy manager. But right now, here is a very quick break.
Here's another hit song. 1575. Turn down for what?
All right, we're back, and I am Staff Sergeant Candace Harris on the Morning Breakdown. And right now, I have Tom Carpenter, who is the installation energy manager. So he is here to basically talk about all things energy action. How's it going so far today?
Good, thanks. Good morning. Yeah, October has been designated by the President of the United States as the Energy Awareness Month, and it's a once-a-year operation that runs from 1 October to 31 October, trying to make sure we continue to increase the awareness of energy conservation, energy use throughout the armed forces, and especially the Navy. I work for Naval Facilities Command here at Public Works, and so my job here is to continue to promote energy conservation for the naval facilities. In addition to the awareness issue, I'm looking at long-term projects that allow us to continue to provide energy-efficient air conditioning systems, heating systems, and that type of stuff, so we can continue to save energy.
Definitely.
It's not a limited supply. It's a commodity. It's not only the electricity, but it's the fuel that powers our aircraft, our cars.
Yeah.
All of that becomes a commodity that we have to continue to conserve. So.
Awesome. And so with it being Energy Action Month, I mean, are there any events or programs or anything that someone can look into to try to find ways to save?
Yeah, we've had a couple of, between us and the Air Force, we've worked together, and we've had a couple of events at the Exchange where we set up some booths and hand out some pamphlets where we've been able to talk about the things that people can do. It's really more of an awareness, think energy. People tend to forget a lot of times if you pay the bill, and that's the biggest awareness. If you're the person that writes out the check, you'll remember to turn off your lights when you when you leave at home. And on base, the sailors and the airmen don't really pay the bill. They kind of give up their housing allowance, but it's a large cost. About 28% of the budget that the Navy uses for all of the facility commands throughout the United States and OCONUS, 28% of that goes just to pay the utilities cost. So it's a huge commodity. I mean, energy is a commodity, and so is money. And so if we can do our part and continue to conserve energy, turning off lights, don't idle our cars, think about how we wash our clothes, wash on cooler temperatures, turn the temperatures, keep the temperatures at a little warmer in the summer, a little cool, a little cooler in the winter. All that starts to add up throughout the whole network, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6% can be used as a resource money wise. Can be added for more fuels for our jets, better improvements to buildings that we live in.
Yeah.
And so there's only so much money. There's only so much money in the world that the Navy and the Air Force can use, and if I can, do a better job of conserving and use part of that money to help the warfighter and continue to do our mission safely, then that's a good deal, and that's one of the reasons why we do that. Besides being, it's a law. The President of the United States says you will conserve as federal employees, and DOD is considered a federal employee. Add that plus the fact that good stewardship. If I can find renewable sources, the solar, the wind, the other things that can replace fossil fuels, then I'm a good steward. I don't put as much CO2 into the atmosphere. All that starts to make the Department of Defense and the federal employees being out there in front of the rest of the world because we're a big user. We're about a 25 to 30% energy user in the whole United States. Department of Defense is. So doing our part makes a big impact on the way we go moving forward.
Definitely. Awesome. Cool. Is there anything else that you had for us today?
No, that's about it. It's important that people continue to keep that in mind. It doesn't stop after October 31st. After Halloween, we can't start we can't start continuing to worry about energy. It's a full-time job. The Navy's continually on watch, just like the Air Force is. We need fuel for the jets. We need to continue to work towards that goal every day. And so if anybody wants to discuss, needs options, I'm available at the Public Works Department at 226-5560. I'm more than happy to give training to individual commands on energy conservations, where we're doing. Masawa and the Air Force Base is doing quite well. This year, as a fiscal year 16-17, we're about 12% less demand on our steam usage. A lot of it has to do with temperature. We're about even with electrical use. Water is doing quite well. So we're doing well. And if we can keep the awareness up, keep working on the long-term projects of energy efficiency, then we'll be able to, do our job effectively, safely, and yet still meet the requirements we need to continue to reduce.
Definitely. Thank you so much for coming by the studio and talking all things energy action. Have a good day.
Great. Thank you very much. Bye now.
Awesome. And coming up here in just a second, I have Ed Sheeran's Keep It Locked, and I have two very wonderful guests here in the studio. I have Senior Chief Petty Officer James Leidy, and I have Chief Petty Officer Frank Ring. How's it going today, guys?
Oh, outstanding.
Awesome. So we're here talking about Chief CPO 365 Phase 1. What is that?
Well, it's a continuous year-round program led by Chief Petty Officers for first-class petty officers to prepare them for greater responsibility by challenging them physically, intellectually, and hone the principles of accountability, integrity, toughness, and initiative.
Oh.
This is accomplished by having two teams, Blue and Gold, who's responsible for the training, physical fitness, and community relations events.
Oh, cool. So when exactly does this event happen?
Training is held on the first and fourth Thursday at 0700 at Building 980. And then we do PT on the third Thursday of every month at 0700.
Okay, cool. So how can someone get involved with this kind of program?
Well, it's fairly easy. Like I stated earlier, we have two teams, Blue and Gold. You can show up at the prescribed times, and we'll assign you to a team. Or you can email me at james.leidy@fe.navy.mil, or you can contact me via phone 226-4898.
Okay, and just so everyone knows, Lighty is Lighty.
That was perfect. And you can also contact
me at franklin.ring@fe.navy.mil or extension 226-5315.
Awesome, cool. Thank you guys so much for coming in talking about this program. Definitely appreciate it.
All right, thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
All right. Listening to the Morning Breakdown with Sergeant Harris. However, it is a very special hour because it is Captain's Call, and I have with me right now the Naval Air Facility Commanding Officer, Captain Keith Henry. How's it going, sir?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And so today is a very special day.
It is. So I'd like to say happy birthday to all the sailors out there. So 241 years ago today, October 13th, 1775, was what we view as the start of our Navy. So Continental Congress authorized purchase of two ships and outfitting with guns and sailors to provide defense in the early part of the Revolution. So that's what we view as the start. It was certainly not an auspicious start. Took us probably a good 100 years to really get parity with some of the other navies in the world, but they realized pretty early on that in order to survive in the Revolutionary War, we're going to need to start putting some dents in the British Navy, and that's what we did with those early frigates. So a lot of true heroes there early on. Everybody knows about Bonhomme Richard and John Paul Jones and what he did, but there's a lot of other people out there in the Revolutionary War that did some great stuff. As an example, John Barry, not well known, but equally, if not more successful than John Paul Jones. Alliance was his ship, and badly damaged at one point, just drifting in the water and being pounded by two British ships. And he was even injured to the point where he had to be taken below, but wouldn't surrender his ship, and ended up defeating those two British ships. So. And his famous thing was that, in those days, when a captain surrendered his ship, he gave his sword to the winning captain, and Barry refused to take the captain's sword, and his famous quote was, "The Queen should have given you a better ship." So, so not just John Paul Jones, who was eloquent with words, but lots of good heroes there in the Revolution, and lots of good stuff done, both protecting the American merchants that were getting raided by the British, but also harassing the British enough so that they couldn't at will move troops and land forces around the colonies. So a big support to the Continental Army. And though we view that as the start of our Navy, the truth is that we did in 1783 sell off our last frigate, and so there was a period that our country went without a Navy. But they quickly realized the error of their ways. And the current Secretary of the Navy is fond of saying that the Constitution says that the Congress will raise armies, but it will maintain a Navy. And so shortly after the Constitution was signed and ratified, the U.S. Congress then authorized the purchase of the original 6 frigates. We call it the original 6 frigates because prior to that we had bought ships that were already built and just kind of re-outfitted them with guns. But in 1794 we started building ships from the keel up as warships. So the 6 original ones: Chesapeake, Constellation, the United States, the President, the Congress, and the Constitution. So 6 ships that served for a long time. Constitution, as a matter of fact, still floating in Boston Harbor, so the longest commissioned warship, and a great ship in and of itself. So served in a number of wars. War of 1812 was probably the one that got its most fame when British cannons were alleged to just be bouncing off the sides, and the British thought it was made of iron, so it got the nickname Ironsides. So still floating, as I said. But the more important thing was, the War of 1812 was, I think, we took a little bit of dip after the Revolutionary War, and the War of 1812 was when we kind of established ourselves as a Navy. Once again, you couldn't go to the war with the British without establishing some parity on the seas, and so that's what we had to do. We were able to do it during 1812. A couple good examples of that. Captain Lawrence was killed. He was sailing the Constitution at the time, and was killed in that battle. But as he was being taken below with mortal wounds, his words were, "Don't give up the ship." And then his boss at the time, if you will, Commodore Perry, was so inspired by that, he had a flag just sewn up with the words "Don't give up the ship," and hauled that up as his flag on his flagship, and sailed out into battle in the Battle of Lake Erie, which was a turning point in the war in terms of the British being able to raid us, through the interior colonies in the War of 1812. And a special one for me because that one, that flag itself is still hanging at the Naval Academy and Memorial Hall. So great story there with Oliver Hazard Perry.
Definitely.
And then, a couple other interesting points. As I said, 1812 kind of established us as a Navy, and we kind of continued on an upward vector from there. 1845, once again, special point for me, that October 10th, 1845, so that was another birthday earlier this week. Founders Day is what we call it, because that was the day that George Bancroft, then Secretary of the Navy, who really wanted a place to train naval officers, was for some reason dual-hatted as the Secretary of War for a couple days, and used the opportunity to transfer Fort Severn from the Army over to the Navy, and then Fort Severn became the United States Naval Academy. So interesting way that he was able to get his prized possession over to the Navy and turn it into the Naval Academy. And then another important event from the Navy is July 8th, 1853, and that was when Commodore Matthew Perry sailed into Tokyo Bay. And since the 1600s, the beginning of the Tokugawa shogun, Japan had been closed, so it was just pretty much the Portuguese through Nagasaki, I believe it was, were able to enter the country at all. But Commodore Perry sailed his 4 ships into Tokyo Bay, anchored there, and wouldn't leave until the Japanese agreed to sign the Treaty of Kanagawa, which eventually opened Japan to back up to the world, essentially, and brought him back into set them on a path for where they are today. So an important event, and one that, as odd as it sounds, I think is still recognized and celebrated down south, in Yokosuka area. A lot of Japanese still recognize Commodore Perry as an important person in their history. So, the Civil War, the Navy had a big part in the Civil War. Also, we think of that a lot as a land war, but there's a lot of important naval battles that happened during the Civil War, and a couple of the inventions that happened in warfare prior to the Civil War caused a lot of bloodshed, and those were true not just on land, precursors to the bloodshed from World War One, but also happened on sea. So the first ironclad battle happened during the Civil War. So that was a precursor for what sea warfare was going to look like in the 20th century. Obviously went to a stalemate in that one, but those two individual ships went on to have a lot of successes against their incompatible wooden opponents.
Yeah.
So. And then, another big event for the Navy was the Spanish-American War. Started, there's a lot of precursors to the Spanish-American War, but the USS Maine exploding in Cuba in Havana Harbor was essentially the event that started the Spanish-American War, and a lot of good effort by the U.S. Navy. Spanish fleet was, on the decline certainly, but still very powerful throughout the world. And we, through two major battles, were able to essentially eliminate the Spanish fleet. And one of the big ones was from Commodore Dewey in where he, in the Battle of Manila Bay, defeated the Spanish Pacific Squadron. And the famous quote there was, "You may fire when ready, Gridley," which sounds kind of odd as a famous quote, but the reality was the U.S. ships, by then we had superior ships, superior firepower to the Spanish, so we could have just stood off and just lobbed cannons at them. But Commodore Dewey knew that the right way to do it was to go in close, and really take the fight to them. And so he sailed in close and made all his captains extremely nervous. And so, but held their fire until he knew he could overcome them. And that was, he just basically said, "All right, now you can fire." And so that's where the famous quote came from. So. And one other thing before I turn it over is, as an aviator, I think important part in Navy history, January 18th, 1911. So that was when Eugene Ely made the first carrier landing in San Francisco Bay on USS Pennsylvania. So we've come a long way, but it's hard to believe, over 100 years ago, first carrier landing. Interesting part about Eugene Ely, not a naval officer, just employed by the Department of the Navy, as a lot of pilots were in those early flying years. But he was deathly afraid of the water, so couldn't swim. So he. He obviously wore a football helmet as his flying protection, but he also wore inner tubes around his midsection because he was deathly afraid if it didn't work out that he was going to drown if he ended up in the drink. So, but he was successful. First carrier-based landing, and then second carrier-based takeoff after that. So, a big event in naval history as well. So. And obviously I won't go into the 20th century history. I think that's much more familiar to everybody. The Navy's done great things for the 100 years since then as well. Currently we stand at about 327,000 active duty and about 108,000 ready reserves, with about 211,000 civilians. So smaller force than we were before, but I think a very effective one, and continuing to improve that with a lot of the initiatives that the PSF had talked about. Currently at 272 ships and 3,700 aircraft, I checked yesterday. We got 58% of our ships underway, which is pretty impressive given the amount of maintenance that goes into our ships. So, still a ready and relevant force. So with that, I will sign off saying happy birthday to Navy, and I encourage everybody to look forward to Master Chief Snyder, who's going to go next and sing a verse of Anchors Away on behalf of the Navy's birthday.
Just put you on blast, sir. So we are having a live performance. So keep it locked for that, because, who would want to miss that? So much information for you, and we just, I don't want you guys to miss out on all things Navy and just all things just going on here on the base that our friends in the Navy want to speak about. Like, for instance, I have the Naval Air Facility Command Master Chief Steve Snyder. How's it going today, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank
Awesome.
you very much for having me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure having you here. And so we have a little bit of a list to talk about with you today.
Sure. Let's lead off with the fact that October, as probably all the listeners are aware, because you would have to be under a mushroom to not realize, because there are so many flyers and bulletins and notifications out. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We're making, it really is a year-round effort to reduce both sexual violence, domestic violence, all kind of destructive behaviors. But October is the month where we focus on communicating to folks, and I just want to make sure that people are aware that there will be volunteers staffing tables at several different awareness events remaining. They had 8 of them throughout the month. 4 of them are done, 4 of them are left. There will be one this Friday over at the dining facility during the lunch hour from 11 to 1. They'll be at the bowling alley on Monday from 11 to 1. They'll be in the BX entry area next Friday from 11 to 1. And on Saturday the 29th, they'll be at the Potter Fitness Center, and that's really in conjunction with the Zombie Run.
Yeah.
And when you go to these tables, they'll give you purple ribbons that you can affix to your uniform or your civilian clothes to show your support for this campaign. And it is my understanding that the people that collect the most ribbons by going to the most events are the ones that are going to get some prizes at the end of the month at the Zombie Run. But it's really not about collecting prizes. It's about increasing awareness and making sure that we find more effective ways to reduce and eliminate this. Domestic violence happens, right? It does, and we have some really great support networks on the base for it. We have a domestic assault victim advocate that works over in family advocacy, and she can take restricted or unrestricted reports if people are victims of violence and they need help. We have a really good system set up to support them, so but the ideal would be for there to not be. I was at an event last night where there was a lot of discussion about teen dating violence. And that's one of those things that we don't normally talk too much about, or we don't spend a lot of time thinking, but a lot of our young people who are influenced by popular culture, the lyrics in the songs and the programs on TV and all these images that they're constantly presented with for, roles that they're supposed to play in society, and a lot of these roles are presented in ways that are not socially acceptable. And there's no blood, or there's no lasting psychological damage to the victims that are on television or in the movies or in the radios. But when it comes to real life, and people don't disassociate media from real life, and they do these things in real life. And so we got to find ways to communicate to our young people that this sort of behavior is not okay. So October is the month where we campaign for this, so please get out and support those events and help out.
Awesome. Yeah. And speaking of the events that come with this month, there's actually a few other kind of things that are going on as well.
Sure. Edgar High School next week is having their big homecoming week, ending with a big football game. I can't remember. I saw the email from the high school last night. I was reading through it. I think it's Yakota. I can't remember. It's one of the teams from down south that's coming up. We're having a home game next Friday.
Cool.
There's a big parade, so good luck to Edgar Eagles, and
go Eagles.
Go Eagles. Yeah. I was at their game. Was it last Friday night? Pretty good game. First game of the season. Let's shift rudder for just a second. Let's talk about the Navy Compass program. Right, we've had an awful lot of turnover in the Navy over the summer, and I think that I have failed to really talk to the Navy Compass program. So I'm going to take 2 or 3 minutes, if you don't mind, to just put in a plug for them. The next Navy Compass class is the 1st through the 3rd of November, and that one is nearly full. I think the max class capacity is 15, and they have 14 people signed up already, so they really only have 1 seat left. But they already have the information up on their website, which is, I'm sorry, 1 second, gocompass.org. So if Navy dependents are interested in this program, they can go to the gocompass.org website and get their name on the waiting list for the spring. We do this class twice a year, and it's a class to teach all things Navy, culture, programs, etc. How to read, things as basic as how to read an LES. Because a lot of our dependents, even those that have been in the Navy for quite a long time, may not be able to fully understand the contents of the LES or what the programs are. And sailors are not great sometimes at taking information home or at explaining things, because we see these things all the time, and we make the assumption that because we know how to do it, everybody else knows how to do it. And our dependents sometimes don't ask the right questions and don't cue us into the fact that they're not aware. So it's a class that we teach. It's a fantastic class. A lot of great mentors in there. The class up here has also some mentors with that are Japanese spouses. So if you think that there might be a language or a cultural barrier, that's not true. We also have some Filipino spouses. I mean, we have it set up so that there should really be no barriers at all to a dependent, regardless of their background, coming in, getting the information, being comfortable, and becoming more effective. So gocompass.org, that's the website that they need to, and if you've been through the class before and you want to be a mentor, they have a really, really great cast of characters now, but some of the mentors are transferring soon, so it'll be time to get new mentors. So if you want to be part of the program, you've already been through it, so please sign up to be a mentor.
Definitely. And I just got off the air with Captain Keith Henry, and he was talking all things Navy history. And with the Navy history, I mean, there's got to be a celebration.
There is, in fact, tomorrow night.
Awesome.
The doors open at 1700 at the E-Club. I think that ticket sales are over. I mean, if you know the right people, you might be able to get a seat if you don't currently have one. But we have a great event planned. A lot of people are doing a lot of work, even today and tomorrow during the daytime, to get this venue set up. What I will ask is, if you are a sailor and you have some excess capacity today or tomorrow, and in other words, if you're not fully booked and you want to volunteer and you want to help out, please get in contact with somebody from the Navy Ball Committee, the decorating committee, the setup, tear down crew, etc., and go lend a hand, because it's a huge effort, and they're slogging through it, but they would love to have some more help. So feel free to come out and help.
Oh yeah, awesome. But that is not it. I mean, there's still so much more going on. So many more events.
Yeah. Well, this weekend, the city of Misawa is actually hosting. You may have seen the flyers around. There's a Halloween festa going on out in town. Starts at, let me see, I brought a flyer so that I wouldn't lie to people. It's in here somewhere. Here you go. It starts at about 11:30 in the morning with a costume parade, and then they're having a costume competition. And then at 1500 hours in the afternoon, any kids that are in costume can do trick-or-treating on White Pole Road out there. It promises to be a very, very big event. It's not put on by the military, Air Force, or Navy. It's put on by the city of Misawa, but they certainly welcome our participation.
Oh yeah,
should be all decorated out, and the kids are going to have fun. I plan to take my daughters out there and give them a chance to show off their Halloween costumes. And might be a little chilly, so you might want to bring a coat.
Yeah, definitely got to keep that in mind.
It's kind of inordinately cold very quickly.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like it was hot.
Yeah.
Now it's cold, and you're like, what happened? How did that happen so quickly? But that's what brings on the fall colors in the leaves, right? And so, I mean, that really rapid change from warm to cold is what causes the leaves to change color. So this time of year is when the leaves start to turn all the beautiful colors up through the Oriase Gorge around Lake Tuata. And if you are in the Navy, if you are single or unaccompanied, the Liberty program has a couple of really great events planned for the duration of the month. One of those is an Autumn Colors tour, where they're going to take folks up to Hakoda, ride the ropeway to the top.
That is going to be so
beautiful. It's free for the
beautiful.
E4 and junior population, but the E5 and senior population that is here unaccompanied gets a pretty reduced cost on that. And Mick Hulse and Velma and the folks that work in the Liberty office over in the bottom floor of Building 543 can certainly cue you into everything that they have planned for the rest of the month. If you are not fully taking advantage of all the things that they offer, I think you're doing yourself a huge disfavor. So let's get over there. Next weekend, right? The Jazz Staff Tug of War. Well, I could sit here and talk, it seems like, for hours about all the things that are going on, because I didn't even talk about the fact that this Saturday is the Special Olympics, right? I mean, huge event. I went last year, and it's hugely rewarding for all of the personnel that volunteer for that. I mean, it takes hundreds of volunteers to make this thing successful. So, huge thank you to all the volunteers. Please. Anyways, thank you very much for that. So, but next Saturday is the Jazz Staff Tug of War event over in the Jazz Staff hangar. I know the Navy has a couple of teams in that event. Probably the Air Force has a couple of teams as well. But whether you're on one of the teams or not, if you want to come out next Saturday afternoon to the Jazz Staff hangar and cheer on the folks that are out there, and you might think you have an understanding of tug of war. But I'll tell you, you will quickly get schooled on the proper form and technique and everything, and it's a grueling afternoon. It's a competition that goes on for quite a long time, and it's a good time. I suggest you go out there and see it. So
cool! It sounds like fun.
And then the last event that I'll talk about, because when I talked to Velma at the Liberty Program office yesterday, they still had some seats available. The Navy is hosting Jimmy Buffett down in Yokosuka on the Sunday afternoon, the 30th of October. So the Liberty Program up here, which again is tailored is for the single and unaccompanied sailors, has hired a bus, and they're going to take sailors down to Yokosuka. They're leaving on the evening of the 27th, driving overnight, going down there. On Friday, they're going to Disney Sea. On Saturday, they have either escorted or unescorted tours of Tokyo. Sunday, they're going to Yokosuka to the naval base you can do some shopping and things, and then go see the concert. And Sunday night, they're driving back. So, again, free for the E4 and junior crowd, slightly reduced costs for the E5 and senior crowd that are unaccompanied. They've also opened up a section of that bus for family members, people that are here accompanied, can go down. The only caveat is that if you're going down, everybody that's riding the bus must be at least 18 years old or older. So if you have children, you would have to find somebody to watch your kids over the weekend, or find some other way to get them down. I mean, my wife and I will be driving down to Yokosuka because I'm a huge parrot head. There's no way I'm going to miss Jimmy Buffett in concert. It is what it is. Yeah. So we're driving down and seeing the concert and driving back. It's going to be a long weekend for us. But
hopefully filled with fun, though.
If you want somebody else to be able... it will be. Fantastic. There's no way that it won't be. But, if you're interested in that, make sure you contact the Liberty Programs office and get signed up for that. Let somebody else do the driving, and you just have all the fun. And I believe that you know what? One more thing I wanted to talk about, right? And this is pretty important, and we don't talk about it because elections only come around, or presidential elections really only come around every 4 years, and so it kind of this topic takes a back burner. But we're less than a month away from the presidential elections now. So I just wanted to take a minute to remind sailors that the Hatch Act and DoD Directive 1344.10 pretty much forbid any discussion in the federal workplace aimed at supporting or opposing any of the candidates. Right? There's no water cooler exception to this prohibition. and even casual discussion of partisan political matters, especially when uttered by a supervisor, may subject the individual to investigation and discipline. Right? So all of us seem to think that our opinion is the right opinion, and you want people to know what you stand for, but you cannot plug or try to undermine some candidate while you're in uniform in your work center. Right. Once you go back home, once you're in your civilian clothes, and not affiliated with the military, then you can express your opinions, provided that you have established that your opinions in no way reflect the military stand. A lot of people post things on social media, on Facebook and things of that nature. And if you're curious, you need to go reread the guidelines in the Hatch Act and that DoD directive to make sure that you're not doing things wrong. But just be safe by not talking politics while you're in uniform in your work center. And make sure that your Facebook profile does not link you directly to the military when you are posting things online. Otherwise, you could get yourself in trouble pretty quickly.
Definitely, yeah. Right. Better safe than sorry. Just make sure you cover your own skin.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming to the out here to the studio and talking with us all things Navy and just different events that are going on, and of course Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Sure. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. And Captain Henry kind of put me on the spot and said I was going to sing Anchors Away. So turn down the volume on your radio.
By all means, sir.
I'll try to give you a good rendition of one verse here. So,
all right.
Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to foreign shores, we sail at break of day. Through our last night ashore, drink to the foam. Until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home. Happy birthday, Navy.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Now, with that being said, that wonderful talent, we are going to get into some other kind of talent with Teeny Tempa featuring